My name is Debbie Jacobs, and I wanted to do a video today on what is healing. We hear this word healing, healing, healing. We have our pain. We, have childhood wounds. We have emotional wounds, whatever. Like, what is this healing? you know and what specifically does it entail? A lot of people will be like, oh, I have these healing crystals, and they give off positive energy, or they suck up negative energy, or I'm having a Reiki session and that's healing, or I am going to a silent retreat and that's healing. I'm going to be in nature and that's healing. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Healing is very specific, and it has to do with our flaws. Our flaws were created out of hurt, emotional hurt, over the course of our development, for 18 years of our life. And basically, it's kind of like when hurt is, in somebody's experience, right? They develop reactionary coping skills around it. And also they develop, ways of being that don't serve them because they're in a, like an extended crisis sense of self, right? I'm not my usual, self when I am, in an abusive relationship, because now I'm being reactionary and I'm having to deal with difficulties, in my life that are creating hurt. And I am developing patterns of behavior to deal with abuse in my life. And those patterns of behavior that I developed from hurt that was coming into my life, right? We hurt, stems from abuse and punishment and invalidation. So I develop these behaviors out of hurt, like fear, like anger problems, like insecurity, not feeling good about myself. Why do I not feel good about myself? Because, in the dynamic of abuse, we develop low self esteem, right? So basically, what the healing is that we have to undo these behaviors that developed. Um, and replace with effective ways of being, because we develop behaviors in childhood that do not serve us for life, that actually get in the way of our happiness and could develop into, mental illness, problems with the law, instability, addiction, like prison, a self-harm, suicide. These are all outcomes of hurt. And the hurt is actually the catalyst that develop these negative behaviors. Any negative behavior, stems from hurt, stems from negativity. And I'll tell you that, they pretty much all fall under our reactionary behaviors: anger, fear, worry, insecurity, anxiety, jealousy, guilt, shame, self doubt, feeling worried, feeling embarrassed, feeling frustrated, annoyed, irritated, insulted, offended, like all these negative, outcomes. And they create negative outcomes in our life, trust issues, abandonment issues, inferiority complex, and basically, that all needs to be, that is what is being addressed in healing. It all needs to be healed. We need to get rid of all the negativity, because that's the hurt, and develop effective ways of being, so that we know that they're reactionary, and we also know that they weren't taught to us. They weren't taught. No parent teaches their child to have anger problems. That's a parenting mistake. Parents use fear to, get children to do what they want. And children develop fear for life. That's a mistake. We're not taught to go out and be afraid. We react in fear to the situation because we have fear cultivated, developed in our being and as a part of our behavior. We don't develop, an inner critic through criticism. Parents program the inner critic, and we don't need that. We don't, if it doesn't serve us and it's not meant to be, and our parents didn't specifically teach us, then we, need to address, what we learned, through our reactionary behaviors that's not serving us. My parents never, taught me to be critical of myself, but I learn from their own criticism. So we parents really need to take responsibility for the outcomes of our children's experience. And let me tell you something, when you're using a punishment as a tool in parenting, you are teaching negativity for life and, the need for healing. So what we want to do is we want to go into ourselves, heal our pain so we don't pass it down to our children. And in the healing of our pain, we take out all of the, the negativity, replace with effective ways of being. And then, when we're parenting, we're not parenting with negativity anymore. And we've replaced the ineffective parenting tool of punishment with acceptance. It's okay to be wrong. If a child does something wrong, it's okay. It doesn't mean that they need to be punished, right? We all, do things wrong, and that's part of the learning process. And that is being wrong is part of the healing process. It is through the process of being wrong that we accomplish positive thoughts, positive, effective coping skills, and healthy self-esteem, our beautiful, authentic self. So when people say, what's healing, we want to specifically address our flaws, our ineffective negative coping skills, and our negative thinking, our thoughts. Because our negative thoughts create negative, ineffective coping skills that create unhappiness. So to heal ourselves back to our authentic self, we want to learn new, effective ways of being that replace the negative with the positive. And then when we're operating with positive thinking, that generates positive, effective coping skills. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that somebody, punches me in the arm, and my reactionary negative, ineffective coping skill is to take that personal, is to get angry, is to feel fear, is to, yell at them, and that's how I am, handling the situation, which is handling the situation with negativity, right? But now somebody punches me in the arm. I've healed myself. I'm operating positive. I'm not taking things personal. I don't have my anger problems as a coping skill. I have better, effective ways of being. Somebody punches me in the arm, and I'm going to think, right? My thoughts are not going to be all like angry and hurt and triggered. My thoughts are going to be responsive. I'm going to say, hey, why are you punching me? What's the problem? And how can we solve it? And I'm going to think maybe there's a problem with you that you need to address that I can help you with so you don't have anger for me. Of course, I'm not going to be like, oh, great, thanks for the punch and everything, but I'm not going to look to start a fight out of it. I'm not going to look to be reactionary. I'm going to look to operate with positive, effective coping skills and positive thinking to create, a positive outcome. Why did you hit me? What's wrong? And how can we solve it? Are you mad at me? Like, what's going on? As opposed to, possibly, in my bipolar, anxiety, depression days, I had big anger problems. And if somebody had punched me, I probably would have gone nuts on them. That doesn't help me in the situation. You see how, when I get angry, that upsets me. That's my hurt, and it creates hurt for me. But when I can be calm and say, hey, what's the problem? I'm keeping myself happy. And that's the difference between being hurt and being healed. Being healed is about maintaining, happiness, positivity, win-win, and it's not being reactionary. It's being out of my pain so I actually can handle something more effectively. Because when we are in our reactionary behaviors, we are not handling ourselves effectively, and that also, proves our lack of self control. But through the healing process, we really cultivate our sense of self control to a point of mastery. Right? That's the goal. Mastery of self, mastery of our emotions and our actions and our behaviors and our words. Because let me tell you something. Yeah, if somebody punched me, I might want to be like, what the fuck did you do? But I know that that's not going to help me. I'm not going to help the situation. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to make things worse. I want to make things better, because who am I making things better for? I'm making things better for myself. And I am maintaining my own happiness, my own well-being. And let me tell you something, that is worth going through all of the positive change. And, people don't know that I did live most of my adult life, until I was like 40, in depression, anxiety, and bipolar. And I was diagnosed my late 20s, to early 30s. Like I was diagnosed 33, with bipolar. I was diagnosed at 27 with depression. I had anxiety, but we all know that it starts way earlier than that. It actually starts, for me, it started in the crib. My father used to hit me in the crib. Was that me, or was that his unhealed pain? That became my pain. We got to stop the way that we treat and behave. Treat people and our behaviors that don't serve us, that create hurt for other people. Punishment has to go. Anger has to go. Insecurity has to go. Fear has to go. We cannot operate as ourselves with all that pain. And that is what our pain is. Our pain is our flaws. Like when I was in my depression, anxiety, and bipolar, I didn't really think that I was in my depression, anxiety, and bipolar. What I thought was that I was in my insecurity, I was in my abandonment issues, I was in my trust issues, I was in my inferiority complex, I was in my low self-esteem, I was in my anger, I had big anger, I was not feeling good about myself. It was all my flaws. So basically getting out of our flaws is how we get into our authentic self, and that is healing specifically has to do with our flaws and our negative thinking, and when we are healed, we have accomplished positive thoughts, positive effective coping skills, and healthy self-esteem. So healthy self-esteem is the telltale sign that you're healed in your positive effective self, the self you were meant to be. And that is healing. Healing is actually making positive change to yourself, your wounds, right? We have to heal our wounds and not live our whole life in our pain. And let me tell you something. I know people have great lives and they're in their pain. It doesn't matter our life, because it matters what's in our head. And we got to get our head straight, positive, and aligned, serving our highest good for our best life. All right, my name is Debbie Jacobs. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.